Well, hello and howdy there. How's it going, Scott?
Doing well, man. How are you? A little bit tired. So, real quick, we're just going to jump
Okay.
into it. Have you
Okay. All
ever, I
right.
don't know if you're like on, I don't know if you're on TikTok. Are you?
I am.
Not your
I
thing.
I may
You
I
do?
mainly scroll. I don't do the, you know,
Okay. Neither
the
do I. Never
dances.
posted a TikTok in my life. I do want people to
Mm-mm.
know that. But I do spend probably a couple hours a day just like before bed playing around on it. There's some funny videos on there. But
Sure.
anyway, there's this challenge going around. It's been going around for a while. It's called like the 75 hard challenge. So you go
Okay.
75 days. You have to work out twice. So like two 45-minute workouts a day, obviously spread out. One has to be outside. You have to drink a
Wow.
gallon of water a day. You have to read at least 10 pages from like a self-help book or like, some sort of nonfiction, like not, fun book. Um, and I think that's it pretty much. But I'm trying that. Oh, and you can't drink. That's like the biggest thing. You have to like, choose a diet and you can't drink alcohol. Now, I'm not going 75 full days.
Uh-huh.
'Cause that's quite a while. Plus, I got some events coming up to and alcohol will certainly be involved in those. So I'm gonna go 15 days, and today's day two. So just got back from my second workout and went on a run, and I'm feeling it. I'm sore. I'm tired, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think in the long run it's gonna be nice.
If you're doing two of those a day, I mean, that's definitely going to tire you out. As
Yeah.
for me, I killed a spider for my girlfriend about 10 minutes before we went on the air.
Brave,
So
brave man.
Spidey duty, as she calls
Productive
it.
day.
Very
Yeah.
productive. Yes, about actually about 5 minutes before 5:30, she opens the office door and she goes, "I need your assistance." And I look at her and I'm like, "What is this?" And so she says, "I need you to kill a spider for me." I'm like, "Ah,
Yeah.
yes."
And it's
I
part of
mean,
the job
even
description of being a boyfriend. That's
it really is, and
yeah,
even long distance, like she would tell me how, okay, once you move here, you got to kill spiders for me, and I'm like, can do,
yeah.
can
It's
do.
a
So
deal. You know.
I'm your man. I'm your
Good.
man. So,
And I'm glad it
well,
sounds like you
hey,
you made a smooth recovery from your second COVID shot. So
I did. Yeah. So yes, I was hurting unit yesterday. I was working from home, and maybe I should have just taken the day off because it was cresting and troughing and all those fun ups and downs because yeah, I felt like I was microwaved from the inside and steady regimen of ibuprofen and water, and I feel much better today.
yeah,
So my
I'm glad.
arms a little sore, but I don't
Yeah,
think it's as sore as it could have been because I've been told to move it around and everything.
yeah.
But I'm doing better. So
And you're done. You got both your vaccines, both your doses, and you're gonna be a healthy man. So
yeah, I'm gonna be a
let's do
healthy
this.
man. Definitely not doing two 45-minute workouts in a day, but hey, like I said,
We'll
at
see. I'll
least I
keep you
killed a
posted.
spider.
So
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I'm curious. You're a beacon of health over there, and I very much am not these days. But when you host 3 podcast episodes a week rather,
Yeah,
and
it's
all the
wild.
hockey stuff, yeah, it can. If you don't prioritize it, which I haven't been, then it can sneak up on you. But hey, anyway, my
Cool.
name's
Yeah.
CC Hawkley, and that's my boy Scott McDonald, and
Hey
we
guys.
are Front Range Hockey, the Front Range Hockey podcast for Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. And we thank you for tuning in with us live on YouTube or later on in the you know
Recorded
posted
version. Yeah.
audio and the not so live version. But hey, that's okay. You still get to see us raw and in all of our unscripted, well, somewhat scripted glory. But that first
Yeah.
4 minutes definitely wasn't scripted. That's for sure.
No. A little off the cuff.
Off the cuff, it's what we do. It's what we enjoy. And yeah, so we got a lot to talk about in the land of Colorado hockey. First and foremost, first things first. Bo Byram now out longer. Coach Bednar saying he went from day to day and went week
Hmm.
to week, and that the Colorado Eagles are actually a part of his rehab plan. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the starting lineup for the Avalanche tonight as they take on the Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas, Nevada at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh, Scott. Yeah, this lineup here. There's quite a few. You've got Landeskog, McKinnon, Burakovsky jumping in on that first line. Joe Kadri and Nichushkin, Soderberg, Comfer, and Sherwood. yeah, Kiefer Sherwood getting that third line nod. Liam O'Brien, Belmar, and yeah, Martin Kaut.
Yeah.
So those are your forwards. Big changes, and yeah, Bo Byram's still out, unfortunately, for the Avs.
Yeah. So according to Coach Bednar, he broke the news to us yesterday that both he and Logan O'Connor unfortunately have suffered some setbacks.
Right.
And I guess we don't really know. I think it's lower body for Logan O'Connor, but no one really knows, how that happened or what it is
Mm-hmm.
exactly that's ailing him, I guess. But yeah, Bowen Byram, that's fortunate. He's an exciting young rookie, and he's already kind of fighting that injury bug. But it's not COVID related. They said it's related to the upper body injury he had before COVID, which a lot of people think it might be like some sort of like shoulder issue from that Colasar hit the last time they played Vegas, I think, or the last game he was in that they played Vegas, or possibly a concussion issue. No one really knows. But yeah, it's unfortunate. His rookie season is going to be kind of cut short. But I tweeted this out earlier that the Colorado Eagles are about to get very, very exciting. Like they're going to have a lineup of Bo Byram and obviously Alex Newhook, Sampo Ranta.
Justin Barron just signed his
Justin Barron just
ELC.
signed.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit too. So yeah, I mean, exciting times. There's like four first round picks of the Avalanche on that team. It's never happened before, and you got Jean-Luc Foudy and Sampo Ranta as well. A couple third rounds that are projected to eventually play for the Avalanche. So exciting times down there. But yeah, not too fun up in Denver with the Avalanche right now.
No, a lot of injuries, a lot of yeah, they're looking like a mash unit, unfortunately, and just playing a game of triage up there. So, but hey, I mean, it's reminiscent of the beginning of the season, and now is the time for the Avs to call in their depth. It reminds me of February last year when you had all the guys out, and yeah, the Eagles stepped in and performed admirably. So I have no doubt that they can do the same this time around. But let's rewind for the week in review for the Avs. Unless you had anything else to add. I mean, I know Devin Dubnyk is in net as well, and you've got the pairings, rather defensive pairings of Taves, Girard, Graves, Makar. Well, that can be a bit of a tongue twister if you say that 10 times fast. Mm-hmm. And Nemeth and Timmins. So
yeah, I mean, interesting lineup changes tonight, Wednesday's game. Tyson Jost, I guess he's been playing up on the second line, but Kadri's back on that second line now, and they're moving Soderberg down and Kaut down, and interesting. I mean, a lot of people, when I had tweeted out the lineup earlier today, after pregame media availability, leaves a lot to be desired. That's kind of the consensus among the comments section of my tweet that people are not too stoked about it. And then again, I tweeted how exciting the Eagles are going to be with the Bowen Byrams and Alex Newhooks and all those guys down there. And someone quote tweeted and they're like, I mean, it's honestly more exciting to watch the Eagles right now than it is the Avalanche. It's like, I mean, maybe you're not wrong, but also like this is the thing, like we went through this, very early on in the season, the first couple of weeks where the Avs were playing, pretty mediocre 500 hockey, whatever. And it's just burn it down, fire Coach Bednar, like cannot believe this, like the best team we've had since 1995, 2001, whatever it is. Like this should be a cup team. What's going on? And it's like, guys, chill out, breathe. They're going through a tough time. They've lost a lot of key contributors and key members of the team, and it's going to hurt all the time. Especially, I mean, the biggest thing for me, like we've said multiple times last podcast, is Philip Grubauer has been the MVP of this Avalanche team for the entire season, and he's a Vezina caliber candidate this year. And missing him for the last 2 weeks, and missing Mikko Rantanen, your leading goal scorer, and Jonas Donskoy, who's having a hell of a year, a career year for him, scoring a bunch of goals for that third line. Like they're missing a lot of big key contributors, and like this is kind of to be expected. And they're sticking with it in games, and they're trying their best. But like at the end of the day, they've lost like what, 2 in a row. Like it's gonna be all right. I have my hesitations about this game against Vegas coming up here in a couple hours. It's going to be tough. It's going to be, a statement game. If this Avalanche team, with the way the lineup looks right now, if they can beat Vegas, like, I mean, good on them. They're making a statement. I think they only have, 2 more matchups against them. And I think they're, 2 games behind them, 4 points behind them, whatever. So, I'm not expecting them to win this game, but hopefully that's some sort of jinx if you guys are listening to this right now, and they'll blow them out or something. But they're playing a tough, healthy Vegas team, and it's a decimated Avalanche team right now. But it's a good thing it's happening now. There's only like 8 games left in the season, something like that, and like you'd rather have this stuff kind of happen now, and these guys coming off the COVID list and getting healthy now with a few games left to go before the playoffs, rather than a game before the playoffs or whatever in the playoffs. So hopefully this is the last of it. Hopefully this is the last of the COVID issues, and we'll see how the playoffs go. But yeah, it's been an unfortunate year for the Avalanche, and seems to be the story for the last 3 years. Is this team can't stay healthy, and it's frustrating for fans, obviously, and for everyone that wears the jersey, for sure.
Right. Well, and it harkens back to some advice that I got when I was, as odd as this may sound, advice that I got when I was in men's high school choir. I did men's choir for 2.5 years in my high school.
Wait, what did you sing? Were you like baritone? Were you?
I sang bass.
We brought up bass. Okay, nice.
Yeah, I was more of a baritone, but they put me in the bass section because they needed lower singers. So naturally I'm more of a baritone, but yeah, I did sing bass in
Cool.
in men's choir, even though my voice. Yeah. Yep. Today Sweet. You learned.
There you go. Anyway. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, sorry for the little sidebar there, but no, you're good. You're good. We do that. Men's choir, high school, my choir instructor, one of the most inspirational guys that I've ever had in my life. He said this, he said, you don't want to peak too soon. And I know that's a sports platitude as well, but like when we were preparing to get ready for a competition, which, you have competitions in high school, you sing against other choirs, you get judged by it and everything. You don't want to, hit your apex way too soon. And I think this actually is probably a good harbinger for the Avalanche, because if you get these guys out, like you said, if you deal with these injuries, deal with these COVID protocols early on. And I say early on because, you still got the postseason. So pre-postseason, right on the cusp, right on the edge of the regular season being over, then you have the opportunity to be able to ramp it up and to peak in the playoffs. So, I mean, yeah.
That's the hope, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the hope. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they can endure these tough matches. Like you said last week, they're on a 2-game losing streak, which is kind of odd for the Avs these days, but they did win on Thursday, April 22nd, 4-2 against St. Louis. They've had another couple games against St. Louis on Saturday and Monday, the 24th and 26th. St. Louis 5-3, St. Louis 4-1 on Monday, and then tonight, like I said, they are in Las Vegas, Nevada, getting ready to take on the Golden Knights in a little over an hour and a half, or at least that's what the schedule says, because we all know that the puck doesn't exactly drop on the dot at 7:30, especially with NHL games. So, but that's what we've got for the Avalanche. And Scott, like you said, a comment that I think a lot of people are echoing is the Eagles game tonight might be a touch more exciting to watch than the Avalanche game. That's not taking anything away from the Avs. I mean, but like you said, with the injuries that they've had and all that, the Eagles game with their just with their rookie injection that they have going on, yeah, they start a 3-game set with the Ontario Reign tonight. They're going to be playing at 7:05 Wednesday, and they're also going to be playing on Friday and Saturday. Your typical 3-game set there in the AHL. And I don't know if you've heard anything. We mentioned all the rookies that are going to be playing and have been playing, but Justin Barron, kind of a surprise, at least to me, that he signs his ELC and gets an ATO with the Eagles after finishing up his career with the Halifax Mooseheads. I don't know. Is there another guy on the Avs that played with the Mooseheads? I can't recall.
Oh yeah, what's his name again? Yeah. Oh yeah, Nathan McKinnon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yep, that's the guy. Yeah. That's the ticket. Yeah. So is Justin Barrett? I mean, I'm imagining he's probably going to have to wait a few days and get cleared and everything, especially if he is coming from Halifax, Nova Scotia. But
yeah, no,
any word on that?
Like you kind of said, I mean, interesting signing. Well,
Mhm.
so I guess side note, as far as the quarantine rules, another little tidbit of knowledge that Jared Bednar dropped on us
Okay.
yesterday, I think. So I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew this. I'm not sure anyone really knew it, by the sounds of it and by my colleagues that were tweeting about this information. But the question was asked, it was brought up. Um, Alex Newhook is having a hell of a season already. The
Oh yeah.
kid, he's
Mhm.
5 games into this his pro career, and he's on a 4 game point streak. Scored 3 goals and 5 points in his last 4 games. He's looked great on the power play. He's like already about to lead the Eagles in power play goals, and he's 5 games into this thing, and he's an exciting young guy that's doing really well. And like we mentioned, the Avalanche are pretty decimated, so the question was naturally asked if he's a guy that they might consider calling up at some point soon. And he's like, look, I mean, Joe Sakic is watching those games all the time. Craig Billington, whatever, Chris McFarland, like they're all watching those games, every single game. And they're making gut calls on who to call up. And like, yeah, the reviews are good. He said, we're getting good reviews out of Loveland on Newhook. And he's a guy that we might take a look at, but hey, at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, we're not, looking to give guys like experience right now, or we're not looking to give them experience in 3 years. Like if we're making a call up, it's to win. Like our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. Like we're not going to get cute with it and be like, oh, Newhook's playing good. Like let's get him like, a little 5 game stint here and, play him 7 or 8 minutes. So he's like more prepared to make the roster next year. He's like, no, like that's not the situation. That's not the case. Like, I mean, we'll call up like Alex Newhook if he's a guy that we think could help like win games and contribute minutes. So he left it very open ended. We don't really know if that's a possibility, but it's a yes no maybe situation. But he did say he's like the other thing is I think they were in Tucson at the time, or they flew back Sunday. He's like, yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but like since the AHL teams fly commercial, they're flying with the general public usually, or they're traveling by bus for the most part. NHL teams they get chartered. They fly private. So because of that, because of the rules with the AHL and NHL, they have to quarantine. They can't be called up or come to the taxi squad within 7 days of flying commercial. So
Okay. Huh.
that would make a Newhook eligible. Like if I'm assuming they flew back Sunday night after the afternoon game in Tucson, so he wouldn't even be eligible to be called up, until this Sunday or Monday or whatever it is. So he'd miss all these weekend games, and by then, Mikko Rantanen and Jonas Donskoi are projected to be healthy. So at that point, do you even need a Newhook? Who knows? But all that was just backstory to say, yeah, who knows when I don't know if Travis Barron or not Travis Barron, Justin Barron
Hey,
is going to
easy
be,
mistake to make.
yeah, another guy. Yeah. I don't know if he's, going to be eligible to play here soon with the Eagles, but we'll see. I mean, either way, exciting times. A bit of a surprise that he was, kind of signed his ELC, but I was surprised, honestly, that Alex Newhook signed his as well. He didn't play very many games this year. He's a young guy, and I thought they'd, maybe want him to stick around another year because, they don't really need an Alex Newhook to step in next year, per se. He could be, the guy that signs after he finishes and then, maybe plays later on next season. But, it sounds like they want to get him in. I fully expect him to be in the middle 6 forwards for the Avalanche next year. And, the way he's playing so far, kind of just rocketed out of the gate. He's playing very, very well. And, it's exciting. So I fully expect him to be on the Avs roster, next year. I don't know about this year. And yeah, right. Justin Barron, that's another guy. I was kind of shocked sign, but again, exciting times. They're ramping up developments, getting them in the pro level sooner than they usually do. But it's awesome. The pipeline it's coming. It's flowing pretty heavy right now, and in a couple seasons, it's going to be a very young Avalanche team, but it's going to be a good thing. So they're going to all be very, very exciting players.
Well, and I think the thing, and I could be way off base here, but I think the thing for the Eagles is that you have the opportunity to play with these guys, and for the Avalanche organization as a whole, you have the opportunity to start these guys and have them play at the professional level down in the AHL. And not only do you help them acclimate to the pro game and maybe knock the rust a little, or prevent the rust rather from forming, if they've come from the collegiate level or the major juniors level, but to have those guys start to develop already, and to really kind of see what you have um, at the level just below the NHL. I think, when you are blessed, as the Avalanche are, with so much depth, you can afford to have these guys, sign these guys to their entry level contracts, have them play in Loveland for the Eagles, and continue to develop these guys, as opposed to, just having them sit out another year, another off season, coming to training camp. I think it's kind of a smart thing for like you said, for Joe Sakic, for Craig Billington, and for everybody involved in the Avalanche organization to begin preparing these young guys to say, hey, if they have a chance to play with the Avalanche, I mean, you've got 4 rookies, Nate Clerman, the Boulder native, of course, Sco Buffs, and Sco Buffs, Sampo Ranta, Alex Newhook, and now Justin Barron. You've got these 4 guys that come in, 2 defensemen, 2 forwards, and they have the opportunity to play at the pro game without going on much longer and being, long-winded CC, as I often can get. I think it's an opportunity because of the depth that you have to rely on these guys and these rookies to come in, as opposed to some borderline AHL, ECHLers, like a Ty Lewis or, Miles Gendron or guys like that to come in and to kind of fill those roles. And so, yeah, I think to kind of kick the tires and allow these guys to spread their wings a little bit and show what they have at the AHL level, I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, it all kind of comes down to, I've talked with Eagles head coach Greg Cronin, quite a bit about it. And I've asked, questions to Jared Bednar about the situation too. But, a lot of it kind of just stems from the developmental model that they're trying to foster, I guess, down I-25 and in Loveland and with the Avalanche. I mean, one, it's the proximity thing. They're close to home. The Avalanche send development coaches down there once a week to have these developmental practices, usually like on like Tuesdays or Wednesdays or something. And so they're NHL coaches that are coming down there, teaching them skills, teaching them, the power play system, the penalty kill, whatever it is. And to get those guys in, sooner rather than later, because the biggest issue you can do with, developing players is keeping them, maybe in the major juniors for longer than they should. And, at that point, you're kind of wasting a year when it's like, they're first round picks, they're first round picks for a reason. They're excelling at the major junior level. What's the point of sending them back down there for, another season to just just dominate the competition? And at that point, you're not getting better. You want to be challenged. So I think a big thing is, they want to get these kids in front of NHL coaches and, have them be in your developmental model for much longer, and to have those resources at hand with the coaches down there and with the systems they're developing. And it's a great idea, I think. So it's the best thing you can do for developing is just, to challenge these players. And I know, Justin Barron's a young guy, Newhook's a young guy, Ranta, they're all young guys. And, maybe in the past, the Avalanche would kind of keep these guys, in their junior teams or whatever for, a lot longer than they are now. But it seems they're kind of trying to ramp things up, which is awesome. And, part of it comes down to the way the contracts are kind of built out too at the NHL level. And that's why, a guy like Alex Newhook will for sure be on the roster next year, because 1, the salary cap's going to be an issue. And then 2, they're not going to re-sign some of these guys, and they've said as much. Like Carl Soderberg is going to be a one and done guy. Patrick Nemeth is going to be one and done, because we're we have these kids who they're ready to go. That's why we're giving Martin Kaut this extended look, and he's going to be a guy that's probably filling in on the 4th line, a 3rd line next year. And then you got Alex Newhook will be playing center on the 2nd or 3rd line eventually, and then you got Shane Bowers, who not many people are talking about because of all these exciting young guys that are kind of coming in and usurping him in the depth chart maybe a little bit. But it's stocked, and that's the thing. It's coming quickly, and I think they're trying to ramp that up. And it's you can't deny the good things that the Eagles are doing down there, and it starts with Greg Cronin and Brett Clark, Brian Wilsey, a lot of these Avalanche taught coaches that are teaching the same system that they're going to be taught with the Avalanche eventually, and they're just going to be very, very well prepared to step in as soon as next year. And it's exciting times, and I kind of like what they're doing, because again, in the past they've maybe had guys stagnate a little bit and keep them in the major juniors, and that really it can only hurt you in the long run. But I like that they're kind of challenging these kids and getting them in the system sooner rather than later, and that just gives them an extra. Even if it's like Justin Barron's going to come in and maybe only play 6 or 7 games by the time he can finally get out of quarantine and play, but that's 6 or 7 more games than he would have gotten before. And it's the same thing with Jean-Luc Foudy, got a full season when he really shouldn't have. And Sampo Ranta, another guy, Alex Newhook, like even if it's a dozen games at the AHL, it's a dozen games in the AHL. Like it's
even
12 more games, and it's not college hockey. So
even before the WHL started up, and you had Trent Miner there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this has been like great. We kind of referenced it through a few podcasts, like how some of these kids really have no business being in the AHL, but because of the way that the COVID kind of screwed everything up for a lot of these leagues, like they are. But it's like this has been a fantastic year for hockey development. Like, and I'm sure it's one of those things where it's like if you're looking for any positive, like I mean, we're talking about like the Avalanche currently have a couple people like coming out of COVID protocol. So like, obviously it sucks, and like people, there's the risk of getting sick, but also, at a macro level, when you look at it, it's like we are developing players a lot quicker this year than, we would have any other year. And that's because of COVID. And, it's a weird kind of thing if you're going to find any sort of like positive light in COVID times, like, a lot of these NHL GMs are probably pretty damn stoked about it to a certain degree. And it's because of those young guys that are getting their chance, quicker than they usually would.
Yeah, it's definitely been a blessing in disguise in that regard, that a lot of these major junior kids have been able to step into the pro game when these leagues have been either suspended or canceled completely in the OHL's case. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for these young guys, like you said. I almost said Liam Foudy. That's Jean-Luc Foudy's brother over in Cleveland. And another funny note, Cole Sherwood plays in Cleveland as well. Brother of Kiefer. Yes. Wow. So you've got a Sherwood and a Foudy both on the Colorado Eagles and on the Cleveland Monsters. So nice. Kind of funny there. Yeah. But anyway, yes, Alex Newhook. He had a goal in each of the games against Tucson this past weekend. Kind of an odd weekend set for the Eagles. Thursday, Friday, Sunday. The old Thursday, Friday, Sunday 3 for. Yeah, not a usual 3 game set over the weekend. But Alex Newhook, I mean, he continues to impress, like you said, scoring a couple goals, one in each game, including the game-winning goal on Sunday, 4-1 Eagles victory, and has been contributing on the power play ever since that first rookie I mentioned, Nate Klerman. Ever since he debuted on April 7th, the Eagles are now 5-2-1. And of course, you have Sampo Ranta coming in on April 10th, Newhook coming in on April 13th, the impending debut of, Justin Barron coming down the pike. And Scott, I know this hurts you as somebody that grew up with the Eagles in the CHL and the ECHL and everything, but ever since Ryan Tobler's departure as assistant coach, do you want to know the special teams rankings for the Eagles now under Brett Clark?
It's certainly improving. That's for sure.
I'll start with the penalty kill. First in the AHL. First place penalty kill in the AHL. Power play, 5th. They went from the basement in the power play earlier this season up to 5th. And you plug a guy like Alex Newhook in there, and he's automatically, just soaking up the system like a sponge. There you have it. The Eagles, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Their special teams is excelling and has improved exponentially since the beginning of the season. And, again, and I've said this on the Calder Farmstead, I've said this on Front Range Hockey. It sucks that Ryan Tobler's departure had to be the catalyst for the special teams to wake up and to excel the way they are, because as we've talked about for a number of episodes, the Avalanche and the Eagles special teams hasn't been their strong suit past few years.
No. And again, like it goes back to what I just said about the, developmental model that they're trying to make. And now like we're starting to see it, kind of rear its head is, with, Tobler kind of stepping down and now Clark can step in. And he's a guy that's very familiar with the systems that the Avalanche are playing. So they're playing the exact same systems. And, I just talked to Cronin about it the other day. And he's like, it's very consistent across the board now with what we want. Like, the details we're preaching, like that's the big thing. You start to pick up on the lingo of like the two coaches and realize like how familiar they are with each other and like how they're kind of on the same page. Like Cronin loves the word details, Coach Bednar loves the word details, and it's all about they talk about preaching those details. And when you have the coaches who are coaching the Avalanche and then also coming down a couple times a week and coaching the Eagles, they're learning the same systems that they're eventually going to have to adopt when they make it to the NHL, and they're going to be very well prepared because the systems are consistent across the board. Everything's the same, and the language is the same. And you're starting to see that with these Eagles players that are stepping up. And it starts with a Logan O'Connor, who's a guy that gasses up Cronin and what the Eagles are doing all the time. And he's like, they're just very good at preaching the details, and like I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm up here. And that's how they want it to be across the board. And I think we're starting to see that now with how many people are coming in and how many Eagles players are coming in and contributing. And it's a seamless transition. Like Jacob McDonald has looked not at a place at all. Logan O'Connor obviously has been great. Martin Kaut is doing all the right things so far. And even a guy like Kiefer Sherwood who stepped in for a few games, and like no one looks out of place or lost, and they're picking up some big minutes. And it really is a testament to that developmental model that is finally starting to kind of pay off over. I mean, we're now in like year 3 of this kind of partnership, and it's been up and down. Obviously, it was canceled halfway through the season last year, and then this is a short season, so there haven't been too many games where they've had the opportunity to kind of like teach some of these players. But I think we're starting to see it pay off in spades so far, or now with all these guys stepping up. And we kind of saw it in the playoffs last year is when you started to notice it a little bit with the Eagles players that stepped in during the postseason and helped them win some games. So it's big and it's exciting. And again, goes back to those prospects that I saw on their ELC in the past 4 weeks now, with Newhook and Barron and Sampo Ranta, and everyone's looking good so far, and they're getting set up for success. And these guys will be NHL players eventually.
Yeah, it's a bummer that the longer we go without hearing an official announcement about the Calder Cup playoffs, the more that the reality probably is setting in for AHL fans and Eagles fans, if you want to, boil it down to a microcosm, that the playoffs in the AHL is probably not happening this season. And my cohort, Joseph Wills at Full Press Hockey, covers the Carolina Hurricanes, but often has a big picture look at the leagues. He put out a really good article a few weeks ago about the NHL, obviously going forth with the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the ECHL making sure that the Kelly Cup playoffs are going to take place. But the AHL, unfortunately, again, the writing's kind of on the wall, and the postseason is probably not going to happen. I know Patrick Williams, the NHL.com AHL correspondent, well, he writes for Elite Prospects now. I think his AHL.com work has I don't know what the situation is.
It's not in his byline anymore, I don't think.
It's not in his byline anymore. Yes, exactly. But Patrick Williams was talking about a couple different divisions, wanting to play some sort of postseason and get a playoffs going, but no official word on that either. So we'll see. But it's looking 99.5% sure that the Calder Cup playoffs probably won't happen. I did want to touch on one more thing before we move on to the collegiate side of things. Eagles goaltender Parker Gahagen. You talk about we've talked about Billy Christopoulos, military guy, Air Force Academy. Parker Gahagen, Army guy, played goaltender for the Army. Is it the gold? It's not the Golden Knights, is it?
I couldn't tell you. No, I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
boy.
Army. Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah.
Because it's the Black Knights. Knights.
Okay.
Because I remember there being some legal issues potentially with the Golden Knights and the Black Knights, but yes, the Army Black Knights. Parker Gahagen, alumni of that college. He picked up the victory on Sunday. So he backed up Hunter Miska. 35 saves on 36 shots on goal. He's now 2-0-0 with a 2.09 goals against average and a .939 save percentage. That's pretty good for a guy. Yeah. It's decent. He's a good secondary goaltending option. Obviously with Grub's out, the goaltending, tree trickled, and you have Dubnyk elevated to the primary spot for the Avs, and you have, either Jonas Johansson or Adam Werner, maybe going back and forth between the taxi squad, in the meantime. But I mean, it's been Jonas Johansson, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's backed up Dubnyk.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, yeah, with that, obviously, when you have a goaltender injury, you're going to have that trickle down effect. So it's not Warner and Miska in Loveland anymore. It's Miska and Gahagen, which is kind of a surprise because Peyton Jones, I know the Eagles and, a few scouting reports were pretty bullish on Peyton Jones and his athleticism. I was one of those guys. I'm like, all right, if he's ready, he's ready. I talked to the coach in the offseason and Guy Godowski was telling me, yeah, Peyton Jones, he's an athlete. He'll be ready for the AHL. He'll be an AHL starter. It's just a matter of when. But Peyton Jones has kind of rode the struggle bus this season a little bit. I think he's 0-2-1. I don't want to focus totally on the negative in regards to him, but he's down with ECHL Utah there with the Grizzlies for a little bit more seasoning, which is another great thing. When you have the goaltending depth and you say, okay, we have one of the 14 teams that's playing in the ECHL this year, Peyton Jones will get some starts and we can go from there. So yeah, Peyton Jones. Okay, I do have his stats. 0-2-1, 3.62 G, or goals against average, 0.876 save percentage for the Eagles this year. It's a small sample size, so with how
he's a young guy too.
He's young. Yeah, just coming out of college, 4 years out of Penn State. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be patient, especially with goaltenders. I feel like you gotta exhibit and have a little bit more patience with these guys.
Yeah.
At least, especially in the minors, when you can, when you can work him up the ladder and things like that. But Parker Gahagen, kind of a bit of a revelation for the Eagles as of late, and thankfully so to back up Hunter Miska there for AHL Colorado. So I just wanted to get that in and say, way to go, Parker.
Yeah. Congrats.
All right. Well, hey, we mentioned the Army Black Knights after having a little bit of a brain fart as to what their mascot was. Obviously Golden Knights on the brain tonight as the Avs play them. But to the collegiate ranks, we do have some news. We're definitely we want to keep these guys on the radar. We want to keep reporting on them because it's front range hockey now. It's not Denver Metro hockey now. It's not NoCo hockey now. It's front range hockey. We want to talk about Denver University, talk about Colorado College, talk about the Air Force Academy. So April 23rd, Denver University, they had 3 guys sign their letters of intent, 3 national letters of intent to play on April 23rd. You had Carter Mazur, currently playing with the Tri-City Storm of the USHL. You had Massimo Rizzo from the Chilliwack Chiefs, the British Columbia Hockey League, signing his letter of intent there. And Aiden Thompson, forward for the Lincoln Stars, USHL, Fort Collins, Colorado, the local boy coming to play for DU. So
I always love to see that. That's where I used to reside. That's home base. It's where my mom currently lives. So it's cool to see some talent, I guess, coming from Fort Collins. Not necessarily a hotbed of prospective D1 athletes, especially for a university like Denver. I mean, he's got to be pretty decent. That's pretty cool to see that kind of stuff.
Well, it's the same with Nate Klerman, coming out of Boulder, Colorado, like he did. Definitely not a hotbed in that direction, unless he saw some Rocky Mountain Rage games back in the day in the CHL. When they played out of the First Bank Center there in Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, yeah.
I get those two confused all the time as well.
They're the same. Yeah,
they're so much
doesn't
the same.
Matter.
They just blend into each other. It's like Thornton and North Glen and all that. It's just one big hodgepodge of a mess.
They're just neighborhoods, really.
Exactly. Yep, pretty much. But yeah, so 3 letters of intent for the Pioneers. Finally, some good news for them after, having their captain sign over in Providence the way he did.
And assistant captain. Yeah, they lost a couple key guys. So it's been a tough year for them. Again, I'm very excited to see what we're going to see from the DU Pioneers here. When their season starts, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully we're not seeing a downward trend because it's such an elite hockey program. They've done such a good job about kind of balancing talent and balancing the people that left and staying competitive, I guess is the word for it, year after year. And like this year, first time they missed the tournament since 2007, like it's the second time since like the 90s. So I mean, they're an elite hockey program, and they're among the top. They're always fighting with North Dakota among the top of the NCHC, and it was a down year for them for sure. Sub 500 record, and I don't know if I'm necessarily expecting the best season next year, just based on the talent that they lost, and it's going to be tough, but we'll see. I mean, they could always surprise you. It could be one of those situations where they have a bunch of just young, really solid talent, and they win games. They have the tenacity, and they have the "why not us" mentality and attitude, and they go out there and get it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's it's something. It's something. Yeah, when DU making a push, almost upsetting North Dakota. You mentioned them in the Frozen. Well, not the Frozen Four, but the playoffs and the postseason there. The NCHC there, and I'm having a brain fart again. Sorry about that. It feels like 100 years ago, even though it was just a month ago. But yeah,
seriously,
to have that medal and to have that fortitude to be able to still play and to still play well, even when the season hasn't gone the best for you. It's a testament to that program. It's just a program that you expect to be good and expect to contend every year. And when they don't, it's kind of like a head scratcher. Like, oh, well, what's going
happened?
on? Yeah, exactly. But this year's been screwy. We've talked about that. And so, even with the captain and the assistant captain, going elsewhere next season, there's still hope that perhaps, Denver can rebound. So we'll see. But Colorado College, a team that has not been doing well the past few seasons, they're going to have a new head coach behind the bench. They're going to debut that new Robson Arena there on campus for Colorado College. So that's exciting for them. And Colorado College alum, is it Jakob Slavin? Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's like a soft J or a hard J or.
Right, because there's two C's in there. So that's what's throwing me for a loop. But Jakob or Jacob's Slavin.
I'll say it's Jacob.
We'll say Jacob. He potted a goal for the Carolina Hurricanes in Monday's game against Dallas. Unfortunately, that was a 4-3 overtime loss. But hey, Carolina clinching a playoff spot on April 26th with a, wait for it, 69 points.
Nice.
Yeah,
everyone had a field day on that one on the Twitter spheres for sure. So
absolutely. So, and hey, shout out to the Colorado College play-by-play guy Ken Lando. He earned a second place honor for best sports coverage by an individual or team in a major market from the Colorado Broadcasters Association for the year 2020. He just completed his 15th season calling Colorado College hockey. So congratulations to Ken Landau for that second place honor. I mean, there's a lot of folks that call sports in Colorado. So to get that nod, that is impressive. So congrats to him. But yeah, Colorado College, that's the news for that.
Yeah, not much.
So, not much, but hey, it's the off season.
That's going to be the trend these days. Yeah, it's going to get tougher and tougher, and hopefully we start to see more national letter of intent news and kind of talk about some of those guys. But yeah, we're a ways away from first semester starting on college campuses, and coverage is going to be slim pickings. So we'll try.
But we will do our damnedest to try and call from the news cycle and see what news. Yeah, we're still going to cover. Like I said, we're not going to change our philosophy in covering pros and college all along the Front Range here in Colorado. So last but not least, Air Force Academy. There was no news I could find on Air Force Academy, unfortunately.
See what we mean? There's
can't always come up with everything, but that leads us to our final segment of the night, which is asking the feed. We get to talk to the people. We get to have the people come in and give us their questions in regards to mainly the Avalanche, as we've noticed. And so, got some Eagles questions in there too. But first and foremost, let's go with standby here on Front Range Hockey. He's contributed a question for the last many episodes. As a matter of fact, Durfzuki at Durfzuki, DERFZUKI on the Twitters. He asks, with the latest string of injuries, we see Tyson Jost being rewarded for his hard work and being promoted to the second line, like we mentioned earlier. Do you think he will also get time on the power play 2 unit tonight? And are you concerned about Nema's play so far? Pretty hyped about the new Eagles. Hockey stick puck emoji. Hockey stick puck emoji.
Yeah, there's a couple questions in there, I guess. Yeah, first of all, Derp Zuki, appreciate the questions. They're always good, insightful questions. Keeps our motors going. So thanks for that. Yeah, I guess we'll attack the Tyson Jost angle first. Yeah, I mean, the dude's been playing great. Like, as much as maybe I hate to admit it, he's one of those guys that I don't understand why they keep extending him by like a year, and like what does he really like bring to this team? But he's been a guy that's been very, very impressive this year, and getting rave reviews from the fans and the coaches alike, and definitely deserves that promotion to the second line there. And some of those guys like Nazem Kadri kind of struggling, then it kind of affords him the opportunity to be able to move up and down. So yeah, hopefully he keeps bringing it. As far as power play time, I don't think he's going to be a power play guy. He's played on the power play before, but he's definitely where his special teams lies is on the penalty kill. He's a great penalty killer. He's been doing it since his days in North Dakota as a college kid, and he knows what he's doing. He's great on the forecheck, and he's just great in defensive coverage. So that said, I mean, they got to spread out the minutes, especially now he's playing second line now. He's going to get a lot more minutes, and then depending on the number of penalty kills, in a night, they can't have him playing 25 minutes a night. So I think they'll probably just stick him on PK1, and maybe he gets a few seconds, 30 seconds here and there on power play time, but I don't think he's going to be a staple by any means. Or he might be, because Jonas Donskoy he's been out, and he's a guy that plays on that power play unit. So
right,
we don't know, and I guess we'll find out a little bit more tonight regarding that. But definitely PK, and yeah, definitely good for him for getting that promotion. Now, what was the second part of that question?
Second part of the question: are you concerned about Nema's play so far?
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a guy. Really, his main job is to kind of eat up some minutes. That's the biggest thing. It's the Avalanche are a team that's fought to stay healthy for much of the season, and the last thing you do is lose, Cale Makar or Ryan Graves or really anybody is going to be tough. So he's a guy that's kind of just supposed to take some of those minutes from Devontae as a Cale Makar and play on the PK. But he has been a turnover machine, since he's rejoined the team, and it's maybe he's settling into the new system. I guess he was kind of sold and branded as a guy that knew the systems well and should be able to step right in and get it done and know exactly what he's doing. But obviously he's been in Detroit for the last 2 years, and maybe it's not too fresh in his mind, and it takes some time to settle in to any situation. So I hope he gets better, especially as we enter playoff times, and he's got a few more games to kind of figure that out. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's concerning quite yet, but eyebrow raising for sure, at the very least. And yeah, hopefully he settles in here and steps it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a little bit of a shock coming back, after a couple seasons, and the roster's a little different, and there's going to be chemistry. It was the same with Brandon Saad coming in, and having to develop that chemistry on the second line there. I think it's, even though he is coming back to the Avalanche, there's going to be a little bit of a, I don't want to say learning curve, but I'll say learning curve, because you're learning to play with new players. Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you, Durf. Always appreciate the questions, bud. Next question, another person that we get a lot of questions from, and we definitely appreciate it. Karen Sherritt at Karen Sherritt 4. With Matt Calvert and now Logan O'Connor out long-term, who do you see filling the third spot on the fourth line? Currently tonight, it's Martin Kaut.
Yeah, I mean, that's your answer right there. I think they really want to give Martin Kaut an extended look, and Coach Bednar recently said as much. I mean, that's part of the reason. I think, when someone asked about Alex Newhook getting called up, and he's like, I mean, sure, it's possible, but also like we're giving some of these guys like Martin Kaut and Kiefer Sherwood like extended looks who have been on the team for a while, and it's a kind of a step in line situation. Martin Kaut's a guy that I think everyone's fully expecting to be on the roster full time next year. So why not, give him, let him ride out the rest of the season, wait till Logan O'Connor gets healthy. I'm not sure he's going to be on the playoff roster, necessarily, but he's a good fill-in for Like you said, Calvert and Logan O'Connor being out for a while, and hopefully O'Connor comes back sooner rather than later. Calvert, fully expecting him to be kind of shut down for the year. Not sure what his situation is. Yeah, I mean, your answer is already in the lineup right now. I think it's Mike out, and the locker room and Coach Bednar have loved Liam O'Brien's game so far. So I don't expect him to be moved anytime soon. And I think everyone likes the grit that he brings to the team, and it's certainly much needed.
Absolutely, we've definitely talked about that too, of how O'Brien being on there, it brings that extra dimension. And it was kind of a surprise that they didn't have to trade. They didn't have to bring in a gritty, tough guy to be able to drop the gloves and everything like that for the organization. They just had to look down in Loveland. So, yeah. Thank you for that question, Karen. We appreciate it. Next question. Let's go with something a little more still hockey related, but in regards to films. So Gil Mainklang at Gil_Mainklang, rank these hockey movies: Goon, Slapshot, Miracle, and The Mighty Ducks. Now, my question for you, Scott, is how many of these movies have you seen?
Oh, all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Of course. Yeah. All great movies. It's tough. I'm gonna let you go first. Let you take this one.
Okay. I will confess, there is one movie on this list that I have not seen, and I have no excuse for it. I really don't.
Really?
And that's Slapshot.
Okay.
And that's probably the movie I needed to watch the most, because I even own a VHS cassette of it to kind of date myself.
Wow. And still never seen it, eh?
Never seen it. No, I bought the cassette when I had a VHS player still. And I still have it to this day, but no longer have a VHS player. So I suppose I could see it. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't include that on the list. Forgive me, hockey people. I need to remedy that. So Goon, Miracle, and Mighty Ducks are what I'm going to be ranking. Mighty Ducks, I haven't seen in years. I saw it when I was a kid. And so there's that, nostalgia factor of that, of course, especially with Disney kind of rebooting that. Well, not really rebooting it, but kind of revisiting the Mighty Ducks universe, and a crotchety Emilio Estevez, Coach Bombay, Gordon Bombay. I don't want to coach hockey again. But you bring in Shoresy from Letterkenny, and he's in that series too, which I thought was kind of neat, but haven't seen an episode of that either. But long-winded answer to a short question. Sorry, Gil. I'm going to say Miracle, Goon, Mighty Ducks.
Okay. Nice. I'm with you on Miracle. I think that's probably my number one. Just because, at the time I was really getting into hockey and really starting to watch it and play, and it was right around when Miracle came out, and it's such an inspirational movie, and I had the fucking entire speech memorized, and it was super into that one. So I'd say Miracle is probably my number one. Close second is certainly Mighty Ducks. Got to appreciate the cameo from Mike Modano in that movie. He's my favorite player of all time, and
right,
he's the guy that kind of ultimately made me fall in love with hockey. My dad is he's from Dallas, so he's a Dallas Stars fan growing up. So I kind of grew up watching some Stars hockey, and he always had a Mike Modano jersey, and he's just a guy that I kind of zeroed in on. As I was like, wow, this guy's good, and America's greatest goal scorer, point scorer, whatever. And yeah, so I appreciate that Mike Modano cameo. It's also just a great movie in general. And the last two, not huge fans of those two, Slapshot and Goon. But if I had to pick a third place, I'd probably say Slapshot and then Goon. I shouldn't really think Goon is that funny. I don't know. It was okay, but yeah, I would say Miracle, Mighty Ducks, Slapshot, Goon. And also Fair Gil. Enough. Gil always brings the fun questions, and
Gil does bring the fun
questions. I appreciate those.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Thank you, bud. We appreciate it. All right. Next up is Logan Hesselus. At least I think that's how you say his last name. Funny story about Logan. So when we shouted out Justin Vigil, JV, the guy who made our logo, Logan and JV actually go way back. So yeah, they've known each other for a long time. And Justin, when me and my girlfriend went to hang out, Justin's in our small group of friends, and Justin's like, I know Logan. I know him personally very well. And so it's really funny how even in a big 30 million or 3 million people plus in the Denver metro area, you still have this small connection there that people know each other.
It's awesome,
and
yeah.
the world is small. So anyway, Logan, doesn't matter who the Avs draw in the first round, considering they have played only West Division teams all season, or no, because it's the playoffs where anything can happen. Well, I would say yes. And we kind of talked about this last episode. Not to pull that card. Sorry, Logan, but we kind of talked about, the Arizona Coyotes, being probably the best first round draw that they could probably get. And the Blues could be dangerous.
Yeah, no, definitely. They definitely can. And the Avs have seen that, very recently. And they're scary teams in the playoffs anyway. And, every team's a scary team. You should never count it like you referenced, Logan. It's, it's the playoffs and anything can happen. It's a good reason why there's 7 games. So it's, a little more fair to kind of determine that. But, everyone steps it up in the playoffs and you never know who's going to come out on top. Rarely does the favorite team win. So, I mean, sorry, Avs fans. Like, I'm not saying they're not in a good position to do that, but the last time that's happened is a very long time ago. So yeah, it's interesting. It's the underdogs usually kind of come out on top, and I would say my final answer is probably it doesn't matter who they draw in the first round, but like we kind of talked about in the last one, like if there's gonna be, they're all scary right now is the thing. Minnesota's I'm looking right now up on St. Louis. So if the Avs lose tonight to Vegas and Minnesota beats St. Louis, the Avs are all of a sudden in third place in the division with, I guess they got 10 games left to go. And you got Arizona and St. Louis who are just, not far behind. I guess they are. They're a little ways away. So yeah, St. Louis to me is scary. I don't want to play them. Minnesota could be one of those teams where, they're hot. Kind of out of nowhere. No one really expected them to be this good this year, and they've been fantastic. And they got some exciting young players. Kaprizov, might win the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year, and he's looking really good. So it's tough. We know we're not going to be playing Vegas, so that's good. And it's probably going to come down to Minnesota or St. Louis, and that's tough. I would say Minnesota. I think the Avalanche have gotten the better of Minnesota for the most part this season. So if I had to pick one matchup, the way it's kind of projecting right now, it would be, Minnesota. But we'll see. I don't want to play any of them, to be honest with you right now, but you have to play one. And that's the thing. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, the West Division's really stacked this season. With the shift in more geographically friendly, confines, at least here in the States, geographically friendly. Canada isn't too geographically friendly because you've got teams in Ontario having to travel to BC and Alberta to play Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tougher, but yeah, great question, Logan. We definitely appreciate it, bud. Last but not least, and I kicked around asking this question, but I think I'm not gonna say who it is right off the get, but she said, "This question is for Scott. Why did you drop the Y in your name?" Asking on behalf of Landy, Belly, Calvi, Josty, Timmy, Gravy, Berkey, Marty, Dryzy, and Sammy G. #Avs. And then I'll say, you replied next question, but then I'll add the second part here. Well, same question for Groovy and Frankie, who are also wondering, but okay, no other questions. Just a statement that I'm a big fan of your podcast, CC Hawk and Off Scot Free. Keep up the good work. And that was from your mother, Diane McDonald.
It is a first-time commenter, long-time listener, I guess. She's never missed an episode. And, Cece, she's mutual friends with Cece on Facebook, and he comments all the time about, she reposts literally every single one of my stories and podcasts. And, she probably is, easily our number one fan.
Oh, yeah.
So I love her for that. I know you're listening, Mom. So hi. We appreciate your support. But let's not make these regular questions a thing, okay? Let's.
Mom, gosh, why do you have to ask a question on the podcast?
But the funny thing is, we kind of actually talked about this. I don't know if it was last episode, but a couple episodes ago, about how I go by Scott, and my actual name. If this is the first time you're listening and didn't know, it's actually Scotty on my birth certificate, SCOTTY, named after a Vietnam war vet pilot, I think. Who, yeah, I don't know. We won't get into that story, but that's why my name is Scotty. Because it sounds more like a nickname, which is what my mom is referencing with the Landy Belly Calvi, whatever.
Right.
That's a very hockey thing. So I guess I could go by Scotty, but yeah, Mom, you know damn well why I go by Scott. And she's actually, the fun fact, something she didn't say is, she's actually the one that wanted to name me Scott and then nickname me Scotty. But my dad ultimately won and named me Scotty for the, the pilot. And then my dad, the funny thing is he never calls me Scotty. He calls me Scott. So I go by Scott. I think it sounds more professional. It sounds more mature. Scotty was a fun name in, elementary school, middle school, and, all the Scotty doesn't know jokes were great and definitely don't get stale at all. But yeah, I rebranded in college. I was like, I just want to be, I'm like 18 now, and like I want to be an adult and get a job and go by Scott. And like college is the best place to do that because no one really knows who you are and you can rebrand. But yeah, that's why I dropped the Y, Mom. You know that. But thanks for the question, Diane at Died Tweets XO. Thanks.
Yep. Look at you being all formal now. Gosh. That's my line. Those are his lines. Oh, anyway. Well, I did want to show this from Durf Zuki. I wasn't sure if he was listening in tonight. Of course he is. He's a loyal live listener. But he said in regards to his movies, so Slapshot, Goons, which may be Goon or is a typo or both Goons, because there was a sequel, Miracle, Mighty Ducks, but I'd put Young Blood second. Tells you how old I am. So the Rob Lowe film from 1986, Young Blood. So there you go. Yeah, throwing that in there. Nice reference. Good reference, Durf. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for episode number 16. Thank you for tuning in to Front Range Hockey. Don't forget to follow our show on pretty well any major podcast platform. Google, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're probably on it. And please give our Twitter account a follow. As you can see our handle scrolling below down there. If you can't see it because you're in the audio format, the MP3s, as the kids call it these days, actually no kids call it these days because I'm 34 and an elder millennial, but at Front Range Hockey, at Front RNG Hockey, and that's our Twitter account. So Scott, as you've said many a time, but if people are new to where they can find your work, tell the people where they can find your work.
Yeah, you can find my work at Scott Free on Twitter. That's at 0FF Scott Free. There every day, producing free content, a lot of opinions, a lot of up to the second. I listen in on all the the press conferences, morning skate reports, practices, you name it. So I'm usually live tweeting those and giving people up to the second information on anything that's happening over there. But as far as work that I put thought into and publish on a platform is at coloradohockeynow.com. I post there a few times a week, free and paid content, and alongside Adrian Dater, who's been writing for the Avalanche longer than anybody else. So we do pretty decent work over there. We kind of tag team our coverage, and I'm obviously biased, but I think it's pretty decent. And we 100%, I can tell you this for certainty, we post more Avalanche, Eagles, you name it, content than any other subscription based website. And we mean that. We post probably 2 or 3 times a day. Totally worth the investment. That's $19.99 a year, I think. If you DM me or Adrian Dater personally, then we'll hook you up with a discount code for sure and get you some discounted content. But it's worth the investment. But again, I'm biased, but check it out.
And as for me, I'm CC Hawkley. And real quick, we got Durf saying, good job, guys. Clap and hashtag go Avs go. So thank you, Durf. Appreciate it, bud. And once again, I'm CC. Front Range Hockey is part of the Full Press Radio Network. You can listen to us and a lot of other great hockey programming, a lot of other great sports and sports entertainment programming at fullpresscoverage.com. Nice little podcast drop-down menu. Click it. You got a nice little list there for your listening pleasure. You can find my written work at Full Press Hockey. That's www.fullpresshockey.com. I am the Colorado Eagles correspondent and the AHL editor over at Full Press Hockey. So check that out. I need to probably put out a written article here pretty soon in regards to the Colorado Eagles, but I've also got a nice feature piece from my trip to Indianapolis, Indiana. So stay tuned for that. And that's a really neat feature, special interest story that you'll find there. So thank you once again for listening, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. For Scotty MacD, I'm CC, and we thank you all for listening tonight. So
Ooh, nice. I like that.
I know. I thought of that. I'm like, okay, that'll be a good sign off. So Scotty MacD, CC, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that.
On that note, all right.
On that note,
thanks for listening.
We'll see you later.